I was about to get a
Hi.
heart attack. Great to have you here. Uh,
Yeah, no, I was in a late though. Sorry, a meeting that was spilling over with my PM.
no worries, no worries. Well, it's amazing to have you here. I just gave like a short, brief into what we will be discussing today, which is super exciting, because AI has been kind of a hit and miss in the design world. Like some people were a bit concerned or a bit worried that it might, take over designers' jobs. And so I love your content. So I've known Kim from her Instagram. Because she has something like 40,000 followers, and like she always publishes about AI and AR and like all new technologies, and it's very inspiring to see. So I thought, as a woman in design and technology, and just leading the new technology, it would be, and it is, a pleasure and honor to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. And so we will be like just exploring, I guess, how AI can really empower creatives rather than stealing their jobs.
Yes. So, just for some background, I do work in tech. I am a product designer or other known as a UX and UI designer. And for me, there's always so much excitement around new technology. And the way that I am envisioning AI really impacting everyone's lives, but on the designer scale, is really being a co-pilot. For the start of my career, I was a solo designer and it was a nightmare. There wasn't there was only one me, and it meant that I needed to find a way to do everything I could humanly possible for the three engineers I had waiting for my work. So if we think of AI as a co-pilot, especially where it's at right now, I think it can really unlock so much potential for designers. With that being said, I'm just going to quickly share my screen, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't mind.
Of course not.
All right. And okay, okay, we can see my screen.
Yeah.
All right. So, how can we get started with unlocking the potential of AI within design? These are some of the points that I will touch upon for this presentation. But briefly, like AI for designers right now is in a crazy space. There are so many tools, there are so many things that you could do with these tools. And the smartest way to go about them right now is just like playing with them, but really considering how can you use them right now for where they are at to help you out in your process in what you're currently doing. Um, there's so many benefits. And if any of y'all have jumped into Chat GPT or haven't, I really suggest that you do. It has been helping me just create so many ideas. It's helping me create copy for websites. Although, yes, in my day job, I have a dedicated content writer, I have a UX writer, um, and they help me so much with the things that designers are not good at. And we don't really have to focus on so much. But if you are a design team of one, if you're a business, on a business of one right now scale, ChatGPT is extremely helpful for not just generating copy for your website, but for generating email copy, for generating plans, business plans, even. You can train your ChatGPT to act as, and I've seen this before, as like your personal coach. If I want to do X, how can I achieve that? And with X amount of time. That is just one of the main ways that ChatGPT has been helping or aiding the vision for a lot of different people. And I've been even using it for generating content, copy, variations of ideas, uh, business plans to consider, business metrics. What are important things that I need to talk about to be more marketable for the clients that I want to talk to? And how can I present that in a way that will help me become a better storyteller? So all this ChatGPT is incredible, and that's why a lot of us are very amazed at its capabilities at this point in time. So although these are very creepy images from Dolly 2 within this presentation, I will get to that at the very end. So being that AI right now, like ChatGPT, and a new tool actually just came out that you can access. It's called Magician. It'll help you design faster. Um, ChatGPT is also helping some engineers on a smaller scale develop code really quickly. I will say that it is very important for you to understand coding first, to understand and to really tell whether or not the code that ChatGPT is giving you is valid or invalid. It's still in its early stages, but if you have mastered those skills already, then you'll be able to sift through that. And I say that because currently, I still believe actually ChatGPT is banned from uh, Stack Overflow because some of the answers were incorrect. So it's important with this technology to definitely have a healthy level of skepticism and know what you're getting and be able to parse that information. And definitely the future of AI for us on a designer scale is when we're thinking about our businesses and stuff, we're always interested, was my design successful? And we should be. If you haven't been thinking about it already, this is super important because before you go nail that next client, they will always ask you things like, well, you're a great designer, but do you have any metrics that you could speak to? Because that's their language. And things like, you know, bounce rates, click throughs. Those are very important things to discuss. And if we sort of leverage AI where it's at right now and think of implementing it in our workflows, I know that the AI that we're using right now will eventually turn into a really, really powerful tool for personalization, understanding some of the data that we're getting, and being able to leverage that for whoever we will eventually pitch to in the future. AI for generative design. So I did mention that these images are made from DALL-E 2. I'm sure you've seen Midjourney, and there are honestly so many generative art things to consider. And the one thing I will mainly say is that they are great places to brainstorm and start from. Right now, there's a really big legal dispute. However, I do think that there is a lot of potential there for creating storyboards, for, as I mentioned, brainstorming. But the really powerful thing we're seeing right now with a lot of these generative art tools is you can feed it your image, your design, and it can give you variations of it. And it won't look like something entirely different. You'll see the little differences between what you fed it and the output it will give you. So I wish I had on this account. I don't, but I will limit it to that. Um, Try Midjourney out. You can get free credits there as well as DALL-E 2, and try introducing like a design that you made, like a, just like above the fold, even that design with all of the buttons. And let's see if I can bring this up actually. So it's like my Discord is down. My apologies. But yeah, it was taking way too long to download. My apologies. Um, with Midjourney specifically, has anyone tried it here? If you can answer that in the chat. Claudia, have you tried it?
Yeah, I've tried it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's amazing. It works primarily through Discord, but when you plug in the prompt, you can copy the link of the image of what you're referencing. And if you have your website online and you're specifically isolating that image, you can feed it to Midjourney and it can give you variations of that art piece specifically. So your art piece specifically. And it can actually improve some of the designs that you already made. I think it's an interesting way that we might go down. And in the future, we'll have ways to train our own AI bots or generative tools to be able to improve the way that we think about visuals overall. For Magician AI, this has sort of DALL-E and ChatGPT in it, which can help you prototype faster if you're starting from a place like Figma. Um, which if you are, you can get your general fast concepts there and set you on the right path for when you're ready to actually build that website or design. Tome for presentation, decks, and storytelling is amazing. If you are someone that pitches often, you're selling your services, this right here actually is Tome. I'm using this presentation. I created this presentation with Tome, and I'm actually going to show you the power of Tome right now. So I'm going to exit my presentation and I'm going to go to something else. I'm going to go create a presentation with Tome. So anyone who is anyone who could speak, give me a concept, a topic to talk about for a new presentation.
I'm always speaking, so I'm just gonna let somebody else hear from the chat. What's a prompt you would like to give a presentation about?
Any topic.
Any topic. Feel free to just jump on your mics or just write it in the chat.
I love that. I'm reading the chat. My ChatGPT conversation goes from web copy to gym workouts. Absolutely. I think that there's a really great, before anyone answers, I think that's the great thing about ChatGPT is that they just broke it up into different conversations. So you can have like one tab that focuses only as like your personal trainer. I do that. It's really great. And then the other one focusing on like copy for websites and what have you. So
I'm gonna give you the prompts because I feel we're feeling shy today.
yeah.
Oh, let me see. There is a message. Is there? No. Nearby? Yeah, not yet. All right. So how about? Oh yeah, there is by Nyanke. Why we need more female-led design agencies.
Okay.
That's a cool presentation.
That's a great one.
So why do we need more female-led design agencies? Yeah, spot on.
Ooh, I hope I'm spelling this right.
Agencies. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Yeah.
This is the topic. I'm going to plug it in. This is connected to ChatGPT, and we're going to hit enter. And it starts creating the presentation. See, well, we can't see my hands, but I don't have my hands anywhere. It's just creating this whole presentation for us at once. And it's amazing. This presentation, you can completely edit it, of course. If something was written kind of weird, you can also highlight that text, and I'll show you that in a bit. And it's still going. It's creating the 6th page now. So Tome is an amazing example of how women in design can leverage storytelling, how we can help ourselves by using some of these tools to work smarter, not harder. It would have taken me forever to put this presentation together, and just going through like adding the images to like fixing the text. Granted, it's a great foundation, but it's amazing that it just created 8 slides for me, and let's go through it. Unleashing the power of female-led design agencies. These are the topics. Amazing. Help create innovative solutions. Female-led design agencies help create inclusive solutions. So let's see what it wrote. The need for female-led design agencies has been long dominated by male-led agencies, leading to a lack of diversity and inclusion in the industry. Absolutely. Female-led design agencies are needed to bring fresh, innovative, I added that, perspectives to the table and create innovative solutions that reflect the wants and needs of a range of people. Help create innovative solutions. So it's amazing that it added all of this. Like I said, it's a great foundation, but we're at a point right now where these tools could just expedite so much. When it comes to presentations, and I do lead a lot of them, as a designer, I have to present about my project, my design. I have to share it. I have to talk about it as I am now. Tools like Tome are a godsend. Like, it's just so much faster to use something where you have a great foundation and now you can just go in and fill it in with the actual pieces of data that you want to talk about or anything that you really want to talk about, as well as creating great points here. Like, I think these are absolutely excellent reasons why we need female-led design agencies. We do bring innovative solutions. We do provide inclusive solutions. We do offer diverse solutions. And we are that. We are being the diversity within that. So yeah, it's 8 pages. And like I said, if something was written here that, you know, I'm not sure if, maybe this could be worded better within Tome, this AI tool, I highlighted it and then we're going to hit rewrite. And it's on its own, just thinking of what's a better way of saying that. So try it out. It is free. Tome is free on its own. I think it's really powerful. And actually, to be very honest with you, my portfolio is within a PDF presentation. I don't know how many of you, like, I have my website, but PDF presentations really help me allow me to explain a lot more. And yes, thank you for adding the link.
Yeah, for
For,
sure. Can we safely assume that your presentation today was created on Tom?
yes, it was absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely was. Um, the one thing I will say, of course, everything is editable and you can connect it to Figma, Framer. I won't be surprised if they add Webflow to plug it into that soon. Um, when I first found this tool, I was like, wow, because I do create presentations like every 2 weeks. So yeah, and like I said, my own design portfolio is in a PDF. Um, because it helps me, and my design portfolio, to be fully transparent, is about 42 pages. um, it is disgustingly long and that wouldn't look well on a website. And why it needs to be long is because I need to include the business impact of my designs, what it did for the company or my client, what the problem was, what the solution was, the actual designs, plugging it into Figma for my presentation to show that what my thought process was. And that is just like a part of being a designer. We have to be really powerful storytellers. And so when I think of really great reasons for why we need to be using a lot of these AI tools as women, is it helps include us, one, and it helps us work a lot smarter instead of harder, right? I will go back
What
to
does the
my,
integration with Figma do, for
the
example?
integration is you can add in your link, and let me plug in mine. Let's see if I have mine. Um, ah, you can plug in your prototype and it will
Hmm.
add it straight in there.
Okay, so then you can just generate like kind of reasoning behind, you can say, can you generate a reasoning behind this design or oh cool, look at that.
Yeah, so this would be like a prototype that I made in Figma, and I wanted to, like, on this slide, stop here and just talk a little bit about the interactions, and show how it works, all within the presentation.
Mm-hmm. Nice. All right, I see. So you're just like showcasing the work in the presentation. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Especially when it comes to designers, we did whatever you design, it really doesn't matter. The most important thing that you're going to have to do with your designs, however, is talk about it. So you have to show the impact, as I mentioned, and like the thinking process beyond there. Because your clients, and this is speaking for everyone, whether you are on a freelance level, you work for a big company, you have to just communicate the value of it. But yeah, I will go back to this other presentation. And yeah, I do have my portfolio in here too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this was created and it does a good baseline of touching the points on your whole presentation, for example. Um, where are we at? Yeah. And those are some of the tools. There are honestly way too many like tools right now The other thing I will mention for ChatGPT, since we can use it in a variety of ways, one of the ways that I've also been using it as a product designer, who sometimes does some market research and user research, I will ask sort of ChatGPT, like let's say if you send out questionnaires to your audience for your website, like what worked, what didn't work, you could ask ChatGPT what kind of questions you should ask. So you get really good insight from your audience of like what worked for the design, for the website, what didn't work. Yeah, it honestly, it's almost endless with ChatGPT of like the amount of things that you could do. It's really crazy. But conclusion, right? There are so many tools, and for this year, we are off to like a crazy start. I believe ChatGPT was fully launched, or at least came to the public's eye, like around Christmas, and now it's exploding, and it's still only January, and right now, ChatGPT is think of it like a box, right? ChatGPT is like a box with all of these like pre-filled answers. So if you use it enough, you will find that it's repetitive, that it may give you some incorrect answers. Yes, so it isn't perfect. So definitely use it with caution. But what we're really waiting for on the AI side is for ChatGPT to connect to a server, to a browser like Google, like Bing. And right now, at least from what I'm aware of, Bing or Microsoft's equivalent of Google is in talks with a partnership for ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And if we think of ChatGPT as a personal assistant already, and it currently has some incorrect answers, imagine how much more correct and how much more diverse it's actually going to be when it is connected to a search engine.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless, and it's very exciting. I still find it somewhat scary at some level.
Yeah.
Especially, the more power you give to it, the less kind of input you get from us, I think. I don't know. Are we all going to not think anymore? Or, that was my previous kind of way of looking at things, but I'm trying to change my perspective on things, and just like, as your presentation here is an example of that. So how can we make the most out of these technologies rather than being scared of them taking over our lives?
Yeah. So one thing, as I mentioned, is it's very baseline. If you actually use it, you'll find that the responses it gives you could lack, when we think of content or copywriting, they lack branding, they lack tone, they lack um, maybe if you're a person that uses a lot of slang, that's part of your brand then. So it loses, it doesn't have that. So that's why it's a great baseline right now. And the
Hmm.
way that designers can use it is for that. It's very creating the foundation. You still have to add so much to it.
Hmm.
And where we are with the current state of AI tools is that it would take far too much time, as for me as a designer, to feed it the proper amount of historical context that I have for it to give me the proper answer that I want. So where designers stand right now is we can strengthen our strategy skills, our visioning skills, our communication skills. That will still be with us. Um, and in the state of like working one-on-one with clients, there will always be people that miss talking to people versus a bot. Like if you ever have had a credit card issue, a billing issue, would you rather go on the phone and speak to a robot, or would you rather press zero on the operator to speak to someone?
Yeah, 100% operator. Like whenever I interact with chatbots, I don't even see what's written there. I just type operator, operator, operator. Like I just want to talk to a human.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But for right now, like where we are, it's really about brainstorming, getting information, creating a foundation. So one of the one of the examples right now, like I have a copywriter that I work closely with in my day to day. However, she's also working on 5 other projects. So I can't utilize her in this moment in time. That's one person. And sometimes, not sometimes, but designers aren't the best writers. And that's why there are different jobs. Sometimes you need help conveying an idea. And this is where like writing brainstorming can come in, where you can create that foundation before you get access to a copywriter. Um, or it could be the baseline for you if you are good at writing. So that's why I think that they're really wonderful to expedite workflows and work processes, and they're going to be embedded in a lot of other tools that we use. I don't know if the audience here is familiar with tools like Zapier, but Zapier sort of automates so much as this. So if you wanted an email to be sent out at like 8 o'clock in the morning, yes, you could definitely do that with Gmail. But Zapier sort of could automate that along with a few other tasks. And that's why it's a really famous tool. There is that, and now it's connected to ChatGPT. So if you wanted it to write your email, you could. I would ChatGPT is imperfect. If you would like to try how imperfect it is, I do challenge you to ask it to count the amount of letters that are in a word. It has been known to be incorrect, and its grammar is incorrect too. Where we are with AI tools, like right now, I'm in New York, right? I live in New York. AI is banned ChatGPT is banned within the schools here. I completely understand that. One, because our teachers here are underpaid. Teachers across the board in the US are underpaid.
I
They
think
are,
that's across the world. I'm talking as
yes,
an ex-teacher. So yeah.
across the world, they're underpaid, they're overwhelmed, they have too many students. I can speak to as a New York City public school kid. There were like 30 kids in my class. I'm, I'm not going to say that kids are not using ChatGPT. They most likely are, just as much as I was visiting sites that weren't allowed in the school in my old day, in my like first days in school. So I think that for this, the younger generation we should definitely focus on them generating foundational skills. The language, understanding the language, of course, continue understanding like, reading and writing. Just as much as we were afraid of calculator, not really afraid, but we had our concerns with calculators. I don't know if I'm sure this expression that my math teacher used to tell us is across the board what every math teacher says. You're not going to always have a calculator. It's true. You're not going to always have a calculator. And it's still very important for you to understand how to add and subtract, have the basis of multiplication, and I believe a lot more skills than actually us leaning on the crutch of calculators eventually. But that goes to say that ChatGPT and some of these AI tools within schools, it's a really big challenge. And I do think that there should be somewhat of like an introduction to some of these AI tools because they're going to use them just as much as we use our phones. And I actually went to school for art, and my teachers were like, you shouldn't use Photoshop, but it became a really big important thing, and eventually it was so big that it's like, let's teach them. Let's have that healthy amount of skepticism as well, though, when we use a lot of these tools, and be able to understand where it's correct and where it's incorrect. But it's so from like where we are at with the AI tools, they are not perfect, and they're not as scary as we think they are right now, because they just have so many flaws at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much, Kim. Do you want to take some questions from the
Yes,
audience?
absolutely.
Awesome. Let me just go back into the community here. Right. Well, I think this is very inspiring and like such a hot topic. And I think each and every one of us here have at least heard about ChatGPT. Maybe you haven't tried it yet, but you must have heard about it. So are there any questions that you would like to ask our speaker? As per usual, feel free to just put your hand up using the emoji, or just get off your mic, or feel free to use the chat as well.
I would like to understand how to train ChatGPT.
Yes,
Yeah,
from Penny. Yeah.
yeah, that's a really good question. I believe that's really why they started utilizing ChatGPT. They started creating. There's a new feature that you can isolate the conversations. So I would treat it as that. If you have one conversation that is like your personal trainer for the gym and stuff like that, keep that one there, and maybe feed it your gym routine. I actually did this the other day. I used to be a frequent gym goer, and I know this like really well-known gym routine, but I wanted to modify it for 2 days, and like split up all the exercise within it. So I asked ChatGPT, and I fed it the information. Can you give me this routine and make it so that I only have to go to the gym 2 days a week? As lazy as that sounds. But that's how I would go about training ChatGPT. But I do believe we'll have more information on training models soon, for sure.
Awesome, Penny. Does that satisfy your? Can't see
Like
her.
understand. Oh, more along the lines of training it to understand your tone of voice.
In terms of your writing, right?
Right.
Sort of more along the lines of, it's like everybody keeps talking about training ChatGPT so that it understands what you're asking for and gives you better answers. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding what people refer to when they say that.
Yeah. No, you're right. The quickest way that I could tell you right now is to have a good amount of information in your prompt, so that way it knows what to give back. Like, for example, when I asked ChatGPT to create a resume for me for someone of 2 years of experience as a product designer, it gave me a baseline answer. And I'll actually just show you. So a prompt that has more information is more valuable to it because it has more to work with than just asking, can you give me a good recipe? It's going to give you something random, maybe. But if you were looking for a specific recipe, like a quiche with maybe, you know what, let's try that. Whoops. Let me share my screen here.
Yeah.
Can you give me a recipe, a vegan and gluten-free recipe? Believe it or not, my siblings are completely allergic to milk, and I used to be on like a gluten-free diet, and it was almost impossible to find recipes for Thanksgiving about over 10 years ago. So let's see what ChatGPT does. Gluten-free recipe, and make sure that it doesn't include milk, dairy, just in case.
Yeah. And gluten.
Gluten. Okay. What else could I be forgetting?
Quinoa for Thanksgiving.
We had to modify everything. And, so this is like a really quick example, like be really, really specific. And this is what I mean by the kind of answer that you would want, you would have to give it a lot of information. Have you used, Penny, Midjourney or anything like that?
No, not yet. I haven't done anything with visuals yet. I have used ChatGPT, and I do find it interesting. It's just kind of like, okay, so if I come back another day, can I kind of pick up where I left off?
Yeah.
So you see, do I have to start all over again?
You see these tabs on the side here? These chats are saved. So unless you clear them out and like get rid of that conversation, you can always come back, and now it's labeling it vegan, gluten-free, quinoa bowl. You can always come back and pick up from that conversation. Versus if I start a new one, right? I was like, let me create a 30-day filter challenge. What could that be? So that's a completely different conversations. And that's how I would go about it. Keep them separate. If you just want this to be about, for example, here cooking, it'll be about that. You could change that title. And keep feeding it that kind of information. Continue those conversations. So it can recognize and continue off where you left off.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's also great to identify, some code snippets that are not working. For example, I've been struggling for a year because, I'm not a developer. So I've been trying to do this kind of automated email whenever somebody signs up into our community, and it was working fine, except for one video that would just not show for some reason. Like it wouldn't show on Gmail. And I've tried different solutions along the year, and then finally ChatGPT came along, and I was like, "Can you please tell me what's wrong with this HTML? Why is the video not showing on Gmail?" And so it gave me a solution, and I was like, "I love you so much."
That's amazing. Yeah, I haven't tested it yet, but I asked it to write me a shader script for Spark AR, uh, where, and this is what I mean about being very specific. And this is a great example because I don't think everyone here creates AR filters. And I even misspelled something here, but I had a clear vision in mind of what I wanted. I wanted a script from Spark AR where a certain object, and it's called a torus, is clear like glass and is affected by physics in the background. So I tried to add as much detail as I can for the output that I'm expecting. I don't know if this works yet, but it's an example of how you want to give it as much information as you can to get that kind of specific response. Yeah, that's the other thing with AI tools. Even going into DALL-E 2, you put in like, so there are art history periods. There was Renaissance, of course. There's Baroque and Rococo. Rococo is known as like a whimsical kind of painting style. And if we think of the prompts as like some of these like code snippets that we see here, add in very specific details. So like the style of the time period. If you want that to be, an oil painting for generative art, or whether you want that to be a photo, try to write it out as specific as you can for the AI to, just better understand it. There are some cheat codes too, I'm not gonna lie. So, and I'm sure it'll get better in time for how the AI can help us understand on how specific we need to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we also have something in the chat from Aida. She says, something that I found from Christo, prompts for ChatGPT referring to the tone of voice in copy. So something like write an announcement for the following in a thoughtful, kind, and empathetic tone. That really
Yes.
helps. And so
Yeah.
sometimes when I use it for, my templates for something that I'm doing, I don't particularly recognize myself in that, particular speech or whatever was created. You can then use the same chat, the same window. So going back to what Penny was asking, you can use the same prompt and say, okay, I kind of like this. Can you rewrite it in a friendlier way? And so, yeah, you can train it that way, I guess.
Yeah, that's absolutely definitely the way that you should go about it. And to be very honest, I don't know if we'll have a feature with Grammarly looking at ChatGPT, because I know that Grammarly paid, you can ask it to be very specific with the tone and intention there that you were looking for. So we'll see. That's why a lot of people are really amazed by ChatGPT overall, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amazing. All right, let's see. Are there any more questions from our community here? Are you all going to start using ChatGPT? Is it too much?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. For cover letters, I was like, why? Cover letters are like the bane of so many people's existence. It's just they could be so grueling. Whether you're a freelancer, whether you're thinking about applying to a job, there's something that's really annoying to write, and anything that is particularly hard to write, this is what I would lean into ChatGPT for.
Mm-hmm.
And
Gabriela,
when
did I hear
yeah,
your sorry, Kim. Gabriela, did I hear your mic? Because I know her
No,
mic is not very.
I was actually just wanting to access the chat website for the last 3 days. It always tell me that it's and I can't use it. Wondering, have we locked out in Italy? I'm not. I don't know any.
No, your audio is breaking up a bit, but I can tell you for a fact it's not. You haven't been blocked out. It's some days just there's too many users using ChatGPT, and you just have to refresh the page until it finally lets you log in.
It's also
yeah,
related.
Mm.
When the states are up, ChatGPT tends to not really work. But if you're in Europe and you use it in the morning, it works. Because Brie was asking
That's
yesterday, I was
true.
like,
Yeah.
"What's the issue?" It's when that side of the world is awake, so it's overwhelmed.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Even
what
At
if
I
it
my,
has,
oops,
yeah,
sorry,
no, go ahead.
Kim.
Oh, even if it has an orange banner up here that says we're at capacity, it's still usable. Just FYI, because I saw someone yesterday that thought they saw that banner and they didn't think that they could use it, but definitely go for it. Unless this is you can't write in it for sure. We are hogging the banner.
Penny. I also find that if you're logged on and you just leave your browser logged on onto ChatGPT, it's a lot easier to get back into it. That's my
That's true.
cheat. That's my cheat.
That's an evil.
Yes, and keep it on your phone as well. Um, for sure. What else did I? If you're like studying for something, for example, you're studying for like whether it's a new language or you're learning JavaScript or whatever it might be, I have found ChatGPT to be relatively useful when it comes to like generating questions that I should study about a topic. So it generates some questions for me to consider brushing up on. For example, I do love learning lots of different things, and ChatGPT is like a study buddy. It could be anything, anything that has to do with writing.
Yeah, 100%. Aida, were you saying something? I cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just saying that for me, it works really well during the day as well. And at nighttime, when the US wakes up, it's just like, oh, it's down, or I have to refresh like every 20 minutes. That's what's happening.
Always blaming the US.
Yeah, yeah, it speaks other languages. That's insane. Yeah, I had to ask it, speak to me in Spanish. Um, we sound so rude asking of it so much. Sometimes I will say please and thank you.
Yeah, I sometimes I just say, "Hey, ChatGPT, how are you today?" Because I'm kind like that.
Yeah.
Even with robots. We have Prachi following on YouTube. Hi, Prachi. So she's saying, I think it's a great tool, but at the end, it's technology generated, so we can trust it, but with our eyes opened, basically. Like keep your eyes open. Yeah, 100%. Always
Always,
be a little
always,
bit skeptical of things.
always. On the internet, forever. Uh, always. I mean, this is also the why a lot of people are wanting Web3 as an example. So things can be privatized. You have more control over what you're sharing, uh, what happens to your data. But right now, we're still very much on Web2. So everything that you share is up for grabs.
I
We're
love
the
I love that everyone is so kind and just like polite with their robots at home. And just reading the chat, everyone's like adding
yeah,
please and thank you whenever they speak to their virtual assistants. Well done. Keep the humanity level up.
yes, for sure.
Lorraine
That
is
way I
saying
can remember that we were
something really interesting. I think this can help people with dyslexia.
next. Mm,
That's a really nice perspective to look at it, because I didn't,
yeah,
that's something that, could be used in schools, but for a good purpose. Like those children that are struggling to put down into writing what, their thoughts or, something. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
that could be amazing. Yeah, and that's why like I understand the concern with ChatGPT in schools because I know a lot of kids that for a very long time we had no kid gets left behind in the US. And that meant that it didn't really matter if you were on the cusp of failing, they just passed you. So that means we had a lot of kids that whose skills were really lacking in reading, writing, math, whatever have you, and were just getting passed along. So that's why I do believe that we should definitely use these tools to help us, and hopefully they're built the right way. I know that ChatGPT is grammatically incorrect. It doesn't use the comma in the right way at times, to be honest. So it's still building. So I am a little nervous about the youth using it and not being able to understand like what is correct, what isn't incorrect. So I hope that there's someone alongside them that is introducing that healthy skepticism.
Hmm. But, going back to our, main purpose of the talk today, I think is a great aid whenever it comes to like designing or even generating ideas, because I use it as a prompt sometimes, like, hey, can you give me like a few key points on this particular topic? And then
Yeah.
you can develop on that. And especially for all of us here as designers and content creators, it could save up so much time, just for that thinking process. And then you can just elaborate on the answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
just can't stress it, stronger than that. Just don't trust it 100%. Like I read a tweet earlier on that really made me laugh, because somebody asked ChatGPT something like, what's 5 at 2, and ChatGPT was like 7.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then they were like, oh, but my wife says that it's 8. And so ChatGPT went like, oh, I'm sorry, I must have made a mistake. It must be 8.
Oh my gosh. Exactly. Exactly. And I see another question in the chat. Are there any AIs that help specifically in the realm of AR products?
Mm,
ChatGPT, I don't know if you maybe missed it. Some AR creators, and I even asked this to ChatGPT, it can help write you some scripts. So if you are thinking of creating something very specific, like a shader, and you needed a script for it, I do know some creator. I was trying it, but I haven't verified if it works. I do know some AR creators that are using ChatGPT to help create some, uh, um, using ChatGPT to create some scripts for them for their filters or whatever language on any platform.
hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think if we don't have any more burning questions here, we can thank our Kim. So I'm just going to give you a couple seconds if you want to ask anything else. This is your last chance. And if not, Kim, thank you so much for being here with us today, for sharing your knowledge and insight on this very particular topic. I'm sure, and I hope that many of us here have changed their perspective on AI, and, it's not as scary as it used to be an hour ago, and it can actually help us and, serve us as an aim, an aid for our designs and, our creations as well.
Thank you so
And
much for having me. Of course, always feel free to reach out if you have any questions or anything. I'm very responsive on all of my social channels.
do you have a favorite one that I can share in the chat?
Instagram.
Of course.
Instagram.
All right.
Yeah.
Instagram,
Yeah.
Kim.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And yeah, I hope to see you on Discord.
Yes, I hope to see you on Discord.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye, Kim. Thank you so much. And yeah, for everyone here, we will have a couple events lined up about design systems. in the next following weeks. We have about two. So the same speaker is coming twice because design systems is such a big topic. So I asked her if, if we could extend it, and so we can have a proper talk about that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's event. And if you have any questions or for anything else that you might want to learn about in our community, please let me know so that I can reach out to the right speakers. And with that being said, I'm just gonna end the YouTube. Goodbye, YouTube.